Shalom everyone. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, and through that strength, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Parashat B'chukotay tafshin pei dalet. In the decades between the Balfour Declaration in 1917 and the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, 3 times the British government publicized a white paper that limited the ability of Jews to come to Eretz Yisrael and presented obstacles in the face of the Jewish settlement in Eretz Yisrael. One of those times was in October 1930. In response to the white paper, Rav Kook, who was then the chief rabbi in Eretz Yisrael, spoke in public about a pasuk in our parasha, Parashat B'chukotay. In the parasha, towards the end of the long tochecha, the painful, difficult tochecha, the rebuke of Hashem to Am Yisrael, Hashem says, I will remember my covenant with Yaakov, and I will remember my covenant with Yitzchak, and I will remember my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land. 3 times in this pasuk we have the word covenant. The covenant with Yaakov, with Yitzchak, with Abraham. And about this covenant, the Tosfot in Masechet Shabbat says the following. Even if Am Yisrael no longer has any merit, we are totally bankrupt of merit, the covenant between Hashem and Israel is eternal. Brit avot lo tama. We may be bankrupt of merit, but we have the covenant with Hashem. Because we're bankrupt of merit, we may be hit very hard by the midat adin, by Hashem's strict judgment. But we will never be totally severed. The connection between Hashem and Am Yisrael will never be totally severed, and therefore, even if we are hurt and hit very badly, we will always be able to rise up again, and the journey of Hashem and Am Yisrael, this journey will continue. It is through the Hashgacha of Hashem that in 1917 Rav Kook was in England, and Rav Kook together with Chaim Weizmann were amongst the people who were active in England to bring out this proclamation, the Balfour Declaration, from the British government. When the British government gave the Balfour Declaration, Rav Kook did not thank them. He blessed them. He said, wow, what a zchut you have that you are helping Am Yisrael return to Eretz Yisrael. 13 years later, when they published the white paper, Rav Kook said, by quoting this pasuk, Rav Kook actually said, you know what? It's not up to them. The covenant between Hashem and Am Yisrael is eternal. The journey, the return of Am Yisrael to Eretz Yisrael is going to continue in spite of the British and the white paper. I'm not making little of the difficulties and the obstacles that these white papers presented before the return of Am Yisrael to Eretz Yisrael. Possibly many, many Jewish lives would have been saved if not for those white papers. But at the end of the day, that is not what decided the success or the failure of the return of Shivat Zion, of the return of Am Yisrael to Eretz Yisrael, and we returned in spite of those white papers. What is the main impression that we will be left with after reading the Tochecha in Parashat B'chukotay? The difficulties, the great pains, or that at the end of the day, in spite of those great pains, that did not stop the journey of Am Yisrael with Hashem. Also this year, Tafshin Pei Daled, after the terrible massacre on Simchat Torah and the terrible pains of the war that still continues, and I am not making little, not even one drop of these terrible pains, but I have absolute faith that also today, the covenant between Hashem, the pasuk in Parashat B'chukotay, will once again prevail. The covenant between Hashem and Am Yisrael is still there. Hashem will remember the land. The journey of Am Yisrael and Hashem and Eretz Yisrael is going to continue. When we put all of this together, the pains of the harsh judgment of Hashem and the eternal chesed of the covenant of Hashem with Am Yisrael, I think we can say faith in the covenant between Hashem and Israel, absolutely yes. Haughtiness, arrogance, absolutely not. We know that even though there are pains and suffering, that we have absolute faith in the covenant and the continuing journey of Hashem together, of Am Yisrael together with Hashem. At the same time, we should never allow haughtiness and arrogance to blind our vision. And we see again and again in our history how this causes us great pains. Our faith and the way we handle ourselves have great influence on what happens in our history and the ups and downs in our history. Our mistakes cause us great pains. Our faith can cause us to correct our mistakes and to bring great times for Am Yisrael. Faith in Hashem, absolutely yes. Haughtiness, arrogance, absolutely not. Haughtiness and arrogance, absolutely not. Faith in Hashem, absolutely yes. Shabbat Shalom.